Number 10. Portia de Rossi. In her 2010 groundbreaking memoir Unbearable Lightness, Portia de Rossi reveals the pain and illness that haunted her for decades, from a time she was a 12-year-old girl working as a model in Australia through her early rise to fame as a cast member of the hit television show Ally McBeal. She also detailed her struggles with and while living in the public eye, and recounted how she survived on 300 calories a day and took 20 laxatives daily, trying to maintain a weight of 82 pounds. According to her memoir, Portia both starved herself and putting her life in danger and concealing from herself and everyone around her the seriousness of her illness, and described the elaborate rituals around food that came to dominate hours of every day. The actress did this all while terrified that the truth of her sexuality would be exposed in the tabloids, and revealed the heartache and fear that comes from living a life in the closet, which was only magnified by her unrelenting desire to be thinner, more in control of her body, and the number of calories she consumed and spent. But it wasn't all bad. Portia also recounted how falling in love with Ellen DeGeneres helped her develop a healthy body image, embrace her sexual orientation, and gain inner peace. Number 9. Janice Dickinson. A strange encounter with Bill Cosby in 1982 was described in the 2002 memoir No Lifeguard on Duty by the self-anointed world's first supermodel Janice Dickinson. In her book, she reveals real moments that she experienced with Cosby and goes into great detail when it comes to taking back the narrative. Janice mentioned how Cosby allegedly answered his hotel room door in nothing but a towel and kissed her. He then took her to dinner and suggested that she follow him back upstairs. The memoir was pretty explosive at the time and would come back into relevance in 2018 when she chose to testify in court to Cosby's crimes. The comedian was once known to millions as America's Dad, famous for his clean brand of family comedy and his award-winning work with children's programming. So Janice's memoir really did help expose Cosby's double life, as eventually more than 50 women came out claiming that the star slipped them illicit substances and took advantage of them while they were unconscious. And in April of 2018, an 80-year-old Cosby was sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison, although he would eventually be released in 2021. Number 8. Corey Feldman. In his deeply personal 2013 memoir, child star and teen heartthrob Corey Feldman exposes the darkness that loomed behind his rise to fame. Although he undoubtedly had a successful career, famous friendships, and high-profile relationships, Corey reveals a side to his star-studded life that no one knew about, and it's full of tragedy. He came from a broken family that he emancipated himself from at the age of 15. As a teenager, he suffered physical, emotional, and sexual violence. The Stand By Me star was also arrested and struggled with addiction throughout his time as a successful working actor. But most shockingly, Corey also implied that his close friend Corey Haim's lifelong battle with addiction was the result of being preyed upon by a powerful older man. Following the book's publication came rampant speculations about the identity of the offender, and it's something that readers still argue about to this day. His memoir Choreography weaves a heartbreaking story of pain and survival that reveals just how dark the industry can really be. Number 7. Holly Madison. Former Playboy bunny and Girls Next Door star Holly Madison dished on how oppressive life with Hugh Hefner really was in 2015's Down the Rabbit Hole. Madison described the many bizarre rules and rituals that Hefner imposed upon his girlfriends. For instance, that they needed to wear matching flannel pajamas, engage in group dressed in tiny skirts and bralettes, and had a daily curfew of 9 p.m. The memoir tells the story of Madison's time with Hefner from 2001 to 2008 and its aftermath. She goes into great detail about the reality of her life behind the cameras, how her depression in the Playboy mansion reached harrowing depths, yet she felt trapped there. She also opened up about her unwillingness to admit to anyone how sad she really was, and Hefner's emotional control over her. The book also explores her time on the reality show The Girls Next Door and the weirdness that was pop culture in the early 2000s. When speaking about her book, Holly said, quote, "I felt like I had something to say about being in the midst of that whole thing that was going on where Paris Hilton and Jessica Simpson and Kendra was so celebrated, and I was a part of it too, for being dumb on TV. Part of the reason I wanted to write the book was to show the other side of it, which goes to show you just how much of it was all for the cameras." Number 6. Shania Twain. The Grammy-winning country singer confronted her childhood demons when she wrote her 2011 memoir From This Moment moment on, describing how her stepfather Jerry was physically, sexually, and verbally violent towards her and her mother Sharon. In a frank and often shocking autobiography, the singer reveals graphic and personal details about her rags to riches story and the price of ambition and success. Throughout her memoir, it also became clear that Shania experienced a harrowing degree of poverty and hunger. For instance, she claimed that sometimes there was only bread and mustard for her and her 4 siblings to eat, and they often wore plastic bread bags to cover their shoes to protect their feet during winter, and regularly went to school without lunch. The singer also had to deal with a double betrayal in her life. She wrote about the heartache that she went through when she found out about the affair between her husband of 14 years, Robert Lang, and her best friend. As a result, Shania became so distraught that she literally lost her voice to spasmodic dysphonia, which left her unable to sing. So her memoir explores how she worked through all that heartbreak. Number 5. Sharon Stone. She became a Hollywood icon and a household name after her role in Basic Instinct, and in a 2021 memoir, The Beauty of Living Twice, she finally reveals the vulnerability behind her femme fatale persona. She goes into great detail about her experiences in Hollywood, like how she was tricked into that famous shot in Basic Instinct, and ill-equipped for fame when it finally came to her. She was also routinely taken advantage of in the male-dominated film industry. She claims that the filmmakers were not entirely honest about what they captured with the camera, and so they didn't have her complete consent to put that scene in the film. Quote, "I do think we have to create a think tank that really addresses what is a crime, what is a felony, what is consent." The name of her memoir actually comes from a life-changing brain hemorrhage that she suffered in 2001 that almost killed her. It left her without the basic ability to function, and she ended up losing her family, her career, and a huge part of her life, which she had to start again from the ground up. Stone also talks about how she went through a childhood of and violence to a career in an industry that actually brought back a lot of those memories for her, although in Hollywood it was all hidden under the cover of money and glamour. Number 4. Leah Remini. A former longtime Scientologist, King of Queens star Leah Remini opened up about her experiences in the church in her 2015 memoir Troublemaker. As a teenager in the church's Sea organization, Remini said that she was reprimanded for sunning by the pool at the Scientology-run Sandcastle Hotel in Florida, and as a punishment was taken out to sea on a boat, thrown overboard, and nearly drowned by a group leader. Not only that, but she was also once fined $40,000 after confessing to stealing food from the headquarters 20 years earlier. In her memoir, Leah also made some shocking allegations about several well-known Hollywood celebrities. In fact, she recalled a time that her and her husband, Angelo, spent time at Tom Cruise's Beverly Hills mansion when he invited a group of well-known Scientologists and other celebrities, including the Smiths. She actually called Will and Jada Pinkett Smith famous friends of the church, and even mentioned the Scientology school that they opened, revealing that despite Jada's denial, she is indeed good friends with Tom Cruise and an active member of the controversial religion. Number 3. Jeanette McCurdy. Described as both heartbreaking and hilarious, iCarly star Jeanette McCurdy's bluntly titled memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died, gives fans a glimpse into what really went on behind the cameras, something that up until now fans have only been able to speculate about. Jeanette exposes her traumatic experiences on Nickelodeon and the disturbing truth about how she was mistreated by her mother, who pushed her to be a child star, noting that the persona she was known for throughout her youth and her young adult life was a front forced upon her by her mom, who, in addition to everything else, was extremely physically inappropriate with both her and her brother, even when they were teenagers. Jeanette also discusses the perils of young fame and reveals that she developed anorexia as a child, and talks about why she ultimately quit acting altogether. She also details numerous instances where she felt exploited as a teen actor, both on and off set. The actress refers to the person behind the demands as simply the creator throughout the memoir, never naming them. She simply describes him as mean-spirited, controlling, and terrifying, calling a time when she was filming an episode of iCarly that he insisted that she wear a bikini instead of a one-piece swimsuit which she preferred. The revelations in her her new book are absolutely shocking, and they really expose the traumatic experience of being a child star. Number 2, Christina Crawford. At the height of her fame in the 1940s, Joan Crawford had a considerable reputation to uphold. She won a 1945 Best Actress Academy Award for the lead role in Mildred Pierce. She lived in a beautiful house in Brentwood, LA, and used her wealth to adopt and raise 4 children, including Christina Crawford. For all of this, Joan was celebrated in the public eye and had extensive magazine spreads about her happy family life. But to her daughter, the facade was a complete lie, and eventually her frustration at the discrepancy between her mother's private existence and her public reputation bubbled over. In 1978, she published Mummy Dearest, which told the truth about her mother's character, that she was a sadistic perfectionist. It was the first tell-all celebrity memoir to talk so openly about childhood, and subsequently was a worldwide sensation upon its release. In fact, it stayed at the top of the New York Times bestseller list for 42 weeks, and even resulted in the 1981 film adaptation starring Faye Dunaway that would go on to become a cult hit. To this day, most people associate Joan Crawford with that infamous scene where she launches into a vicious tirade after discovering Christina's dresses were hung up on wire clothes hangers. So it's safe to say that her reputation never recovered. And coming in at number 1, Rose McGowan. In her 2018 memoir Brave, the outspoken actress takes readers behind the scenes of her life in Hollywood, where she has become known as one of the fiercest and realest women fighting to expose the ugly truth about Harvey Weinstein and the systematic misogyny that has defined the industry for so long. The most outspoken of all of Weinstein's accusers, McGowan opens up about when she first met the movie mogul at the Sundance Film Festival, but only refers to him in her book as the monster. She was at the premiere of her 1997 film Going All the Way when he sat behind her. The next day she was sent to his hotel room, where the two talked about films and her acting goals. But as he walked her out, McGowan writes that he pushed her into his bathroom, forcibly backed her into the wall, and ripped off her clothes. But most shockingly, after the incident, the actress was driven to a photo op with her Phantoms co-star Ben Affleck. When she told him what happened, he simply said, "Damn it, I told him to stop doing that." Her memoir couldn't be more relevant to current events, as to date, 84 women have come forward with allegations against Weinstein, and he is currently serving a prison sentence of 23 years.
Hollywood seems all glitz and glamour, but quite a few celebrities have referenced the underlying darkness that occurs behind the scenes. Jim Carrey, one of the biggest and highest paid actors of our time, has shared his thoughts on Hollywood since retiring from the spotlight. After the Chris Rock Will Smith Oscars slap incident, Carrey shared his opinions on the standing ovation Will Smith received when winning an Oscar later that night. Hollywood is just spineless, and it really felt like it was a clear indication that we aren't the cool club anymore. Carrey went on to say that Smith should have been escorted from the Dolby Theater after slapping Rock for making an insensitive joke about his wife, Jada Pinkett Smith. In March 2022, Carrey announced to Access Hollywood that he was probably retiring from acting. "Well, I'm retiring. Yeah, probably. I'm being fairly serious," he shared. "It depends. If the angels bring some sort of script that's written in gold ink that says to me that it's going to be really important for people to see, I might continue down the road, but I'm taking a break." Carrey added, "I feel like, and this is something you might never hear another celebrity say as long as time exists, I have enough. I've done enough. I am enough." Our second celebrity is Demi Lovato. Demi Lovato starred in many Disney Channel movies and shows like Camp Rock, Princess Protection Program, and Sunny with a Chance. But on a podcast, Lovato shares she, as well as many of her co-stars, were subjected to harsh treatment and multiple strict rules and regulations while working for the company. She said, "You can't be seen at a party with a red cup in your hand because it looks like you're drinking." There was this website called Ocean Up that would take all scandalous things that were happening to Disney actors and put it on there, so we lived in fear of that website. I didn't have food in my hotel room. They wouldn't let me eat the snacks in the mini bar. Then my security walked by my room and was made aware that they had barricaded me into my hotel room. They put furniture outside my door so that I couldn't get out and sneak out and eat if I wanted to. It was that level of controlling when it came to my food, which just made my eating troubles worse. She also stated that she felt that she was practically taking care of her own family. At a certain point, I was paying for the roof over my whole family's head, and my dad had quit his job to become my manager, so his income was coming right from me. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and there was just that pressure of I'm paying for everything and like I need to keep going because if things start to disappear, so does the finances. Our next celeb on the list is Isla Fisher. The actress nearly drowned while filming a scene in Now You See Me. Fisher discussed what went wrong with the stunt, and it is horrifying. I was in a tank of water. My character is submerged in a tank, and piranhas are dropped on her head, she says. And whilst we were there, we shot it over 3.5 days. Even though I had a quick release magnetic thing on my handcuffs, the chain that went between my ankles and my wrists was not able to be broken, and it got stuck underneath the slat and I was trapped. The actor also discussed the kill switch in the tank. There was a quick release switch that could have emptied the tank of water in 70 seconds. However, as a result of being tangled, Fisher was unable to reach for the switch. I was very scared and I was banging and saying, "Set me free!" But everybody just thought I was doing fabulous acting. They thought I was being Meryl Streep in that tank. Actually, I was drowning. I guess Hollywood really wanted that good take. Our next celebrity is model Miranda V. The modeling world seems harmless, but darkness looms. Miranda accused Gigi and Bella Hadid's father of inappropriate physical behavior in a lengthy Instagram post in February 2018. Thank you, Kate Upton. It is time people like Paul Marciano and Mohammed Hadid get exposed for who they really are. I met with Paul at his guest headquarters. That's actually an apartment. I thought it was a professional meeting, but it was just me, him, and champagne where he inappropriately touched me in an apartment. All to get a test shoot for guests. Former Disney Child star Allison Stoner exposes Hollywood with her new podcast, and some of the claims are alarming. Allison said, "I lost the ability to relate to non-famous experiences after the age of 8. Imagine on your 8th birthday you could never walk outside again without being stopped, asked for photos, or followed, unless you wore a disguise or brought security with you." Allison also mentioned the horror when they had to kiss both Dylan Sprouse and Cole Sprouse for an episode of The Sweet Life. The experience left them with conflicted feelings. Your character may have some arc or transformation that isn't evident upon reading the script of the first episode, Stoner explained. So writers and executives might decide to make your character do anything on the next episode, and it's assumed that you're gonna agree to whatever is scripted. My first kiss, and several of the times I experienced kissing, all happened on camera. On camera. Was I ready for that? No, I felt young and uncomfortable, Stoner said, but they were already under contract and didn't want to appear difficult. Another celeb that has exposed Hollywood is Selena Gomez. The superstar who boasts 430 million followers on Instagram often speaks about the downside of being famous, telling Interview magazine in 2020 that everything she does causes a reaction, saying, "The sad part is, I don't remember a time when that wasn't the case. What has kept me afloat is that I know eventually it'll be somebody else, and I don't mean that in a negative way." She said, adding that fame has still allowed her to talk about things that are important to her. "A huge part of why I have a platform is to help people. That's why I think I'm okay with the magnitude. I mean, I'm not really okay with it, but I'm gonna say that I am because it's worth it." Perhaps the celebrity with the most famous Hollywood horror story is Miss Britney Spears. In 2008, Jamie Spears, her dad, was granted the conservatorship after Britney reportedly struggled with mental health issues and was hospitalized. After After Britney was released, a Los Angeles court made the conservatorship permanent, giving her father power over all her finances and her medical decisions. Although Britney was an adult at the time, she was treated like a prisoner and says she was not allowed to leave her house unless granted permission. Her father was making more money than her because he was taking a huge percentage of her earnings and not telling her. Wow, what a father he is. The greed of Hollywood doesn't stop there though. Scientology, a popular organization in Hollywood, has been known to take insane amounts of money from its members, claiming the payments will get them into a higher level in the afterlife. Actress Leah Remini, a former Scientologist, exposes the organization for the way they ruined her life after she left. The actress, who was brought into the church as an 8-year-old after her mother converted to the religion, slammed the organization for its alleged scare tactics and seemingly helping certain members avoid jail for various horrible crimes. Leah met famous Scientologist/actor Tom Cruise while still in the organization, but had to pay $1 million to do so, which she paid. After leaving, Leah sued the organization for alleged stalking and hacking. She states she reportedly had cars chasing her and following her every single day and had hackers hack into her bank account and steal thousands of dollars, all because she left the organization. Yikes. Not all Hollywood drama comes from Hollywood though. And this was the case for Kim Kardashian in Paris. In October 2016, while on a work trip to Paris, Kardashian was robbed at 3 a.m. while alone in her hotel. She was tied up and blindfolded while men in masks raided the hotel room for money. In the end, $10 million worth of jewelry was stolen, as well as 2 cell phones. Kim's sisters and bodyguards were at the club while everything took place, and Kim decided to stay home because she was tired. Boy, was that a life-changing mistake. Kim recalled the fear that she felt during a conversation with the concierge, who was also held hostage in that moment. She says to the concierge, "I'm like, what is happening? Are we gonna die? Just tell them I have children. I have babies. I have a husband. I have a family. Like, I have to get home. Tell them, take anything you want." 2 French judges later charged 12 people in relation to that robbery. Kardashian, who shares 4 kids with ex-Kanye West, has said that she almost lost herself in the year following the crime. Explaining on the Alec Baldwin show in 2018, "I was never depressed, but I wasn't motivated to get up and work like I used to. It shook me." However, the reality star also shared that she has learned to feel grateful for the experience in a way. "There was a lot of me that measured who I was by how much I had. I thought, oh, I'm worth so much," she noted. "That needed to change in me." Our final celebrity of the day is Miley Cyrus. Although Hannah Montana was a family-friendly show, starring in it gave Miley an identity crisis, she says. "I had gone from being a character almost as often as I was myself." And actually, the concept of the show is that when you're this character, when you have this alter ego, you're valuable. You've got millions of fans, you're the biggest star in the world, and then the concept was that when I looked like myself, when I didn't have the wig on anymore, nobody cared about me. I wasn't a star anymore. So that was drilled into my head, Cyrus explained. "I really had to break that, and I think that's maybe why I almost created a characterized version of myself at times, in the way of being aware of how other people see me. I never created a character where it wasn't me, but I was aware of how people saw me, and I maybe played into it a little bit," Cyrus continued. Speaking of her persona, after Cyrus has also talked about how the costumes and makeup took their toll on her, likely causing some body dysmorphia. "I'm this fragile little girl playing a 16-year-old in a wig and a ton of makeup. It was like toddlers and tiaras." She said that being made to look like somebody she wasn't and made pretty for so many years meant that when it ended, she didn't know who she was.
Starting off this countdown at number 10, we have Phoebe Cates. At the peak of her career in the 80s, she would be cast in over 20 movies and was best known for starring in Gremlins and Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Fame came fast for the former actress, and with her new and busy career, she was thriving in the industry. So while being at the top of your career, why would you all of a sudden just end it at such a young age? Well, it turns out she was more concerned with motherhood than anything, and after trying to be a mother of 2 and a full-time actress, Phoebe decided to become a full-time mom instead. It has been 30 years since leaving the big screen, and overall she's actually kept a very low profile, while also opening up her own boutique in New York City. So apparently, rumor has it that if you actually go to her boutique, you might see her in there. Moving along to the next spot at number 9 is Terrence Howard. The American actor has starred in numerous films and TV shows, but you'll probably recognize him most from the movie Iron Man or the TV series Empire. Once Terrence finished his role in the 5-year running show Empire, he vowed that he would never act again. He said that quitting acting meant that he didn't need to pretend anymore, and even though his future plans were unknown, he knew he wanted to focus on bringing truth to the world. Terrence would later go on more in depth of the truth of his retirement, where he says that he spent 37 years in the industry pretending to be people that he isn't. He began making discoveries of his personal life and goals, and he believes that he would rather be teaching the truth rather than fictional. A little vague of an explanation, but whatever makes him happy. I'm still not understanding the truth part. Like, let us know the truth rather than saying I want to speak the truth, you know? Moving on to number 8 is Rick Moranis. The Canadian actor may not ring a bell until you hear that he was the main character in the childhood classic Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Legendary movie. I love that movie. That was so fun. His acting career was filled mostly by 80s comedy movies, as he starred in Ghostbusters, The Flintstones, and Parenthood. Having a successful career in the industry and well-known movies under his name, he would suddenly just disappear from the acting scene, and no one really knew why at the time. The sudden retirement was sadly due to the death of his wife, who passed away from cancer. Because of this, Rick would completely shift his time to dedicate himself to raising his 2 children, and he became a stay-at-home dad. The hiatus was only supposed to be a break, but eventually the break led to him not working on any movies ever since then. The former actor confesses that he does miss the people and nature of the film industry, as parenting is just a very different lifestyle, but he made it clear that he has no regrets about his career decisions. Moving on to the next celebrity on this list, at number 7 we have Karen Parsons. The retired actress is most known for her beloved character on the culture-defining show Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. After the show ended in 1996, it would have been likely that fans would follow Karen to her other acting endeavors, but she seemingly wasn't able to find success in any other roles. After constant devastation and little to show for it, she grew very frustrated and eventually would lose her passion for acting, making her just move on to other things. She started working for a non-profit foundation called The Sweet Blackberry, which is a charity that is determined to teach children about Black history heroes through films. In 2019, she also released a children's novel called How High the Moon, and then in 2020, another book called Flying Free. Moving on to the next spot at number 6 is Peter Ostrom. You might not know Peter just by his name, but you'll definitely know him from his iconic role in the 1971 Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, as he played the main character, Charlie. After filming finished, the child star would be offered a 3-movie part deal, but Peter did not sign the contract. Peter's role in Willy Wonka would be his first and his last, as he would decide to quit his acting career right before it took off at the age of 12. The quick decision would be made simply because he just fell in love with a different profession, I guess, or passion at the time, since he was 12. The former child star enjoyed watching veterinarians at work on the animals that his family had, and because of this experience, it single-handedly changed his future as he became a veterinarian himself. Giving up the spotlight to become a veterinarian may seem like an odd decision, but acting was just not his passion, he says, and he found that career passion with being a veterinarian. Damn, he really chose horses over Willy Wonka movies. Taking the halfway spot at number 5 is Angus T. Jones. You may not recognize the name because, I wouldn't, but you definitely know him as the kid from the sitcom 2.5 Men. He played in the show from 2003 all the way to 2013, and it seemed like we watched him basically grow up, as he started the show at just 9 years old, and when he left the show he was 19. At one point in 2010, he was the highest paid child star in television, so it may come as a shock to you when he left just a few years later. The real reason that the young star left the show in Hollywood in general was because he became very dedicated to his faith and actually started slamming the TV show for how vulgar it was. He was in a moral conflict by being on the show because he just didn't feel that it followed his religion. So he eventually called it quits because of his religious beliefs and became a more normal young adult by attending college. The former actor would go on to study environmental studies, but would later transfer his major to Jewish studies. Now, the former child star is living in LA and is working as president of an event entertainment company. Taking the countdown by storm, at number 4 is held by the child star Mara Wilson. You probably know her for her role in Matilda or Miss Doubtfire, but have you ever wondered where the promising young actress went? I always wondered. until I started this job and I found out. Well, she played numerous characters as a child star, and instead of continuing her acting career, she backed away from the industry at the young age of 13. Moving on to the future, in 2016, she became a writer and released an autobiography depicting her accidental fame, as she called it. The book highlighted the now retired actress and her struggle with growing older and feeling as if her appearance didn't fit the Hollywood standard. Furthermore, in her book, she states that at 13, she was faced with a decision to get cosmetic surgery, audition for cute and funny friend characters, or just accept herself and give up her acting career for good. And well, we all know what decision she made because I already said it. Now she's a full-time writer and director and has chosen a whole new life for herself. Moving on to one of the top 3 spots, at number 3 is Jack Gleeson. The former actor has only been part of a handful of roles, but one of them includes the fan-favorite TV series Game of Thrones. Jack played one of the main characters in the series from 2011 to 2014, but hasn't played in anything since. Due to the success of the show, Jack had the opportunity of acting for a living full-time, but decided against it for very understandable reasons. In a statement made in an interview, Jack said that he stopped because he wasn't enjoying it as much as he used to. He mentioned that acting used to be something he did for fun with his friends or sometimes in the summer. It was once something that he very much enjoyed, but when you make a living from something, it kind of just changes your relationship with it sometimes. So once his time on Game of Thrones came to an end, he felt some sort of relief and just decided that his acting career would come to an end altogether. After his retirement, he went on to study philosophy in Dublin. Coming in our second place, we have Daniel Day-Lewis. The talented British actor has won 3 Oscars, all for Best Actor, 4 BAFTA awards, and has even been knighted by Queen Elizabeth II. But his acting days in Hollywood are over after his representative released a statement in 2017 stating that Daniel will no longer be working as an actor, adding that it was a private decision and that he will not be making any further comments on the subject. This statement was released after receiving his 3rd and final Oscar for his role in Phantom Thread. So it came as a surprise, because he just won. After being silent on the matter for quite some time, Daniel would later confess in an interview that quitting acting was something he had to do. This was due to overwhelming amount of sadness he faced while working on the film Phantom Thread. He even acknowledged that before making the film, he had no intention of quitting, so it's basically the movie's fault. Daniel also mentioned that he still can't quite figure out exactly what triggered him to quit for good after that movie, but said that he just needed to start to believe in the responsibility and values of what it means to be an actor. Now, being retired for a few years, he feels a different type of sadness, but in a good nostalgic way, he says, when looking back at his acting days. He could come back at any moment, really, right? You can leave and come back. Making our way to number 1 is Janet McCurdy. Former child star, played a leading role in Nickelodeon's show iCarly and would move on to co-star on Sam and Cat alongside Ariana Grande. That being said, her acting career would not go further beyond Nickelodeon, and it came to an end in 2014. Though it was short-lived, she had a very successful career in Hollywood, but confessed that she resented it. This resentment was due to many factors. Firstly, it was because she started acting at 6 years old, which she was put into acting by her mom, and by 10 she was the main financial support of her family. She never wanted to be in the industry, but forced herself to continue because she felt pressured to do so for the well-being of her family. The former actress grew extremely unhappy, especially when she was at the peak of her career. When she initially made the decision to call it quits, her agents and managers said that she would be crazy to leave during such a high part in her career, but she stuck to her word and she hasn't looked back since. With the 2021 reboot of her show iCarly, she still would not get involved, which fans were genuinely surprised by. But thankfully, after announcing her retirement, she went on to become a writer and director, giving her a lot more satisfaction in her career. Taking spot number 10 on our countdown list is Gilbert Gottfried. If you've ever wondered if a tweet would be enough to end your entire Hollywood career, the answer is yes. Back in 2011, the comedian decided to send out some tweets that only he thought was funny. It was following the tragic tsunami that happened in Japan and took the lives of over 15,000 people. In the midst of it, he tweeted out a handful of insensitive jokes about it. Some of them are just a bit too risky to say here on YouTube, but one of them said, I will quote it, "I just split up with my girlfriend, but like the Japanese say, there'll be another one floating by any minute now." At the time, he was the voice of Affleck Duck and they fired him immediately, which is not shocking. He issued an apology immediately after, seeing the damage he had done, but he was instantly blacklisted from Hollywood. He now does Cameo, if you're wondering what he's up to these days, and he even has a podcast that many people didn't even know about. Moving on to number 9, we have Dani Mathers. She is known for starring on TV series like The Bold and the Beautiful and Badass, but she's mainly known for her work as a Playboy model. Unfortunately, both sides to her career came to an end after she did something very petty and disrespectful online, and then got a taste of instant karma. Back in 2016, she posted an image on her social media of a naked 70-year-old woman at the gym and captioned it, "If I can't unsee this, then you can't either." She immediately got backlash from her post because it was extremely rude and also very invasive, since the woman did not give her consent to take her nude photo and then post it. Her post resulted in her facing criminal charges, and she also got fired from her radio show and banned from all the LA fitness gyms across the US. In 2017, she faced the court and pleaded no contest to a charge of invasion of privacy. She was also charged $1,000 and was ordered to spend a month doing community service of removing graffiti around Los Angeles. Moving on to number 8 is Lance Armstrong. While he will always be known for his success as the greatest cyclist of all time, he will also be known as an athlete who lost everything due to a doping scandal. For many years, he was supported and admired for being an incredible athlete and also a cancer survivor who inspired others. Which is why it was so shocking to fans when the US Anti-Doping Agency announced that he was running the biggest doping program the sport has ever seen. Their statement read, "He ran the most sophisticated, professionalized, and successful doping program the sport has ever seen." He later ended up admitting during an interview with Oprah that he had been taking the substance, which of course is a huge no-no in sports. He was stripped from his cycling titles and dropped by all of his sponsors, including Nike Inc. and Livestrong. On top of that, he was banned from professional cycling races altogether. He ended up reaching a $5 million settlement with the government, but his career has just never been the same since. In 2020, a documentary called Lance came out on Netflix, and it does a deep dive on his career and the whole scandal. So, if you want to know the deets, go watch. In spot number 7, we have Chrissy Teigen. In recent months, she has been in the biggest scandal of her career after being accused of online bullying. It all started when Courtney Stodden accused her of bullying for years on Twitter, and then even shared screenshots of private messages and tweets of Chrissy saying very rude and inappropriate things. Some of the tweets are so bad, she was actually wishing death upon her and told her to take her own life. The tweets are from the past, but people were shocked to see them and couldn't believe that she would ever behave like that. Chrissy had to step down from her role in Never Have I Ever Season 2, where she was supposed to be the voiceover role. It was later announced that she was actually replaced with Gigi Hadid. After seeing the backlash, she publicly apologized to her fans and also Courtney, taking full responsibility for what she did. But it seems like that hasn't been enough, and even she admitted to paparazzi very recently that she could be cancelled forever. She doesn't know yet. Making her way into number 6, we have Paula Deen. For many years, she was the face of the Food Network, but then a lawsuit took the title away from her and her career collapsed in front of her. The chaos all started when another celebrity chef, Lisa Jackson, accused her of racial discrimination, claiming that she used the N-word when talking about African Americans. Lisa was actually her former general manager, so it was crazy to see someone who was once very close to her turn against her and then reveal the truth. When Paula was asked if she has ever used the N-word, her response was this, I quote, "Yes, of course, it's just what they are. They're jokes. Most jokes are about Jewish people, rednecks, black folks. I can't determine what offends another person." This was not the answer people were hoping for. I think most people expected an apology maybe, or for her to admit how disrespectful and wrong it was. But no, apparently it's jokes. Fox News then obtained quotes that she has said over her career where she made a variety of comments that a lot of people would find offensive. Immediately, networks canceled her TV programs worldwide, and she has had to go to court to defend her case. We have made it halfway through this list, and at number 5 we have Jussie Smollett. His scandal took the world by storm in 2019 and is still ongoing to this day. On January 29, 2019, news articles surfaced saying that he was in the hospital after being attacked by 2 men who allegedly allegedly put a rope around his neck, beat him, and then poured chemicals on him. The reports claimed that the attackers were yelling racial and homophobic slurs, so it was being treated as a hate crime. The media and his fans came together online to support him through what seemed to be this horrific incident. The two suspects were arrested, but in court, they revealed that it was actually all set up by Justy and showed a check that he paid them to stage the entire thing. On February 21st, he was arrested on suspicion of filing a false police report and was charged with 6 counts of lying to police, all of which he pleaded not guilty to. But prosecutors ended up dropping the charges, which the Chicago police were not happy with, and they argued that the actor got off scot-free. In more recent times, an investigator has been hired since then to further investigate and prosecute him, so the scandal is still not over. Rolling into spot number 4 is Tila Tequila. I have not heard of her in a long time. At one point in time though, you could find her everywhere, starring on her own reality show A Shot at Love with Tila Tequila, which ran for 2 successful seasons. I watched some of it. She got tons of attention on social media, but it started getting very negative when she started posting some very offensive things. One of them pushed her career over the edge in 2013 when she started praising Adolf and posted a rant titled, "Why I Sympathize with." If you think that's bad, it got even worse in 2016 when she and her friends posed for a photo saluting like a. Her Twitter account was suspended shortly after, and she was removed from the reality show Celebrity Big Brother. She was pretty much blacklisted in Hollywood at that point, and no one wanted to work with her for the sake of their careers. She is now a married mother of 2 and has a YouTube channel, which is also filled with very controversial and strange videos. Taking over our 3rd spot is Armie Hammer. 2020 was a rough year for the actor's career after some disturbing claims came out from his former girlfriends. The claims said that he was a cannibal and that he would take his disturbing BDSM fantasies too far in their intimate relationship. His one ex, Paige Lorenz, claimed he would tie her up, use a paddle, and leave her with bruises, bite her to a point of breaking the skin, and even carved his initials into her body during a kinky game. She described the situation as 50 Shades of Grey, but without the love. Since the claims came out, his career has taken a huge hit. He was dropped from Billion Dollar Spy, and his reputation has just been severely damaged. An investigation by the LAPD was filed against him after allegations said he had sexually assaulted some women in his past. In June of 2021, just last month, he checked himself into a treatment program, and sources say it is because he could not handle everything that has been going on. Sources say he checked into an inpatient facility for substance, alcohol, and sex issues. In our number 2 spot is Roseanne Barr. Another time that tweets ruin someone's career. I think we can all learn something from this. Maybe think before you tweet. The actress and comedian was once on top of the world with her own ABC show called Roseanne, but that all ended in May 2018. She sent out some racist tweets referring to Valerie Jarrett, who was the senior advisor to the former president Barack Obama. In her tweet, she compared Valerie to a cross between the Muslim Brotherhood and the movie Planet of the Apes. People were immediately furious and disgusted with her words, and no one thought it was funny even though she was claiming that it was a joke. After seeing the backlash she was getting, she deleted the tweet and apologized, but ABC had already cancelled her show, which was actually supposed to air that day. In interviews after that, when talking about the controversy, she still laughs it off and continues to say that it was a joke. We are at number 1, and we have Chris Brown. The singer forever changed his reputation and career back in 2009 when he faced felony charges. It's honestly hard to forget the horrible altercation that happened between he and his then girlfriend Rihanna when he was charged with felony assault. Photos surfaced at the time showing Rihanna's face all battered and bruised. He ended up pleading guilty to the charges and was sentenced to serve 5 years probation and 1,400 hours of community service. After the incident, he was very open and honest in interviews and actually admitted to punching her in the face, calling himself a monster. His career has never been the same since, but Rihanna ended up forgiving him. She originally had a restraining order against him, of course, but she later dropped that and said that the two of them are still very close friends. Starting off our list at number 10 is Billie Eilish. She is currently the world's biggest 17-year-old when it comes to stardom. The moody singer-songwriter has a reputation for making unique music videos that always go viral. She first made her name known in the music scene when she came out with the surprise hit Ocean Eyes back in 2016. And even though she is one of the world's biggest pop stars right now, she often goes against that typical pop star image that you would see. She is a fan of her own passion for the art, but she is not a fan of the fame that comes with it. She beats the norm when it comes to Hollywood standards, and she has no problem sharing her thoughts about it. During an interview, she said, "Fame is horrible. It's worth it because it lets me play shows and meet people, but fame itself is effing dreadful." In another interview, she was asked what it was like taking on Hollywood at such a young age, and she replied with, "There is no training. There's no like, let me go to school that's going to teach me how to be famous. Also, that would suck. That would be a trash school. Famous people suck. Fame is trash." Damn, Billy, tell us how you really feel. In at number 9 is Amy Schumer. The comedian hates Hollywood so much she made a whole episode about the downfalls of fame. In one of her stand-up sketches, she joked about how being famous isn't fun and that she's going to pull a Justin Bieber and stop taking pictures with fans. This wasn't for no reason though, it was after a man harassed her while asking for a photo. She also went off about what it was really like to go to the Met Gala that a lot of people dream of being invited to. During an interview on the Howard Stern show, she confessed that going to the gala felt like, and I quote, "felt like punishment." When asked about the dresses, she said, "We were dressed up like a bunch of effing assholes." She explained that it feels like people doing an impression of having a conversation and that it was all very farce. Schumer even admitted to leaving the event early and said, "I left, not the second I could. I left earlier than I should have been allowed. I got to meet Beyonce and she was like, 'Is this your first gala?' And I was like, 'It's my last.'" I think it's safe to say that she probably won't be invited to the next one. Swiping our number 8 spot is Selena Gomez. Fans were shocked when she decided to cancel part of her Revival World Tour and enter treatment for depression and anxiety. She opened up to Vogue about why she checked herself into a facility in Tennessee. She said, "Tours are a really lonely place for me. My self-esteem was shot. I was depressed, anxious. Basically, I felt I wasn't good enough and wasn't capable." It's hard to believe she would feel lonely when she's constantly surrounded by millions of fans who adore her, but she said that there's social anxiety that comes with that. Along with fame in Hollywood comes social media, to which she has been named the most popular celebrity on Instagram, having a current total of 152 million followers. It's one part of Hollywood that she says is a love-hate relationship. She blames social media for her struggles with image and mental health, but also loves the platform it gives to connect with her fans. It seems like people in Hollywood are a lot lonelier than we would think. I always thought, like, how can you be lonely when there are always people around you? But it just goes to show that it roots a lot deeper than just having people physically there. Taking over our number 7 spot is Gigi Hadid. The 23-year-old is one of the biggest models on the planet, and she admits that fame hasn't been the easiest thing to take on. A few months ago in April of 2019, she spoke to Variety about her career and discussed how she's dealt with Hollywood and living life in the spotlight. She even got emotional while speaking about it and said, I quote, "At times, fame makes you feel out of control of your life. I think it's tough. Obviously people judge you. People can create a headline or an opinion about someone based on a small moment or a mistake." Back in 2017, she also spoke with Harper's Bazaar where she revealed her time in Hollywood has had a huge impact on her circle of friends. She said a lot of things in Friends come out when someone gets famous and that she has lost a lot of friends because of it. She did admit that in some way it's a good thing because you find out who your real friends are, but that fame plays an effect on every aspect of her life. When talking about her passion for modeling, she admits that she always knew she wanted to support herself and have the creative freedom she has now to shape her own life. It seems like she is grateful for that aspect, but just wishes things could be a little bit easier. At number 6 is Vanessa Hudgens. Her career began and took off with Disney, and she's fully admitted the struggle she has faced to shed that innocent Disney image that you get held above your head. Luckily, she's been able to continue an acting career, and a successful one at that. Not only did she hate the judgment she faced when moving on from Disney, but she also hates just fame in general. During an interview, she said, "I don't like the word fame. Some people like the idea of fame. I don't like the idea of fame. I like being an actress. It's different." She often tries to express the difference between wanting to be an actor and wanting to be famous. She says that people often link them together since fame just naturally comes when you are a Hollywood actor. But she once told Daily Telegraph, "I became an actress and started singing and dancing because I truly loved it. I did not want to be a celebrity. I think fame is just something that comes along when you are in something that is such a success." Like other stars on this list, she hates media and paparazzi and the fact that everyone just tries to get in your business. She says that it becomes crippling. Halfway through our list at number 5 is Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. I know they are two people, but there's no way I'm giving these twins two different spots, so they are a 2-for-1 package deal. Their fame skyrocketed in the 1990s and 2000s with their first role on the hit TV series Full House, which they were on from the time that they were literally infants. As the twins continued to grow their empire, becoming the youngest billionaires at one point in time, it was clear that they wanted to leave that Hollywood limelight. They ended up both leaving their acting careers and more recently declined to be a part of the Full House reboot. Ashley admitted that she feels uncomfortable with acting now, and Mary-Kate claimed that it was just awful timing for her. The two of them have been very vocal on how they hate the attention they get, and they do everything they can not to be in the spotlight. During an interview with Vogue, they explained that they have chosen to stay off social media all these years. Mary-Kate said, "We've spent our whole lives trying to not let people have that accessibility. It's their way of avoiding the things that they dislike about Hollywood, and it seems to be working pretty well for them." Taking the number 4 spot is Katy Perry, another star who wants success in Hollywood just without the fame. She loves creating music but is over the whole famous thing apparently. One thing the singer has strived to do is show that her life in Hollywood comes with a heavy price, and sometimes people don't want to pay for it anymore, if you know what I mean. This is why she created a full-length movie called Part of Me, which documented her entire concert tour back in 2012. She wanted people to see what it is really like to be a pop star, the good, the bad, and all the behind the scenes that actually goes into putting on those kinds of shows. When asked about her thoughts on fame, she said, "I'm tired of being famous already, but I'm not tired of creating. Fame is, I think, just a disgusting byproduct of what I do." She continues to try and show her fans that she's relatable and isn't what people think all Hollywood stars are. Alright guys, at number 3 is Lady Gaga. The star comes across confident as hell, but she has opened up about her struggles with fame and the pain Hollywood can cause. She revealed a lot of emotions with CBS Sunday Morning and said, "As soon as I go out into the world, I belong, in a way, to everyone else. It's legal to follow me, it's legal to stalk me at a beach, I can't call the police or ask them to leave." She got teary-eyed speaking on the subject and said that she has no freedom in her everyday life, but has freedom in her heart, which comes out through her music. One thing she hates the most is how everyone recognizes her in public because it has completely transformed her interactions with people. She says, "I miss people. I miss, going anywhere and meeting a random person and saying hi and having a conversation about life. I love people." I mean, what an eye-opener that is. We can literally go up to anyone on the streets and say hi, and she will literally never be able to do that ever again because she'll always be recognized as Lady Gaga. Here we are at number 2 with Sia. It's no surprise that Sia is in Hollywood, but really doesn't want to be. She wants to share her music with the world, but not her private life, not even her face. She's the first celebrity to cover her face at all times during interviews, red carpets, performances, literally everything. For years, very few people had actually seen her without a wig covering her face. At first, the world just thought it was all part of her act, maybe part of her character as an artist, but she's been open about her reasoning and says it's everything to do with hating fame. During an interview, she said, "If anyone besides famous people knew what it was like to be a famous person, they would never want to be famous. I don't want to be famous or recognizable. I don't want to be critiqued about the way that I look on the internet. I've been writing pop songs for pop stars now for a couple of years, and I've become friends with them and see what their life is like, and that's not something I want." She was very successful at hiding her image and loved that she was able to go out and do simple things like grocery shopping. No one would even know that it was Sia because no fans or media sources actually knew what she looked like. Since then, she has showed up to a few events without a wig, but still maintains a very low profile. Taking our number 1 spot is the adored Justin Bieber. Over the last few years, we've watched the pop star cancel his tour and walk away from his music career. Not only that, but he's also walked away from Hollywood as a whole. In September 2018, he announced that he was settling and living full-time in Ontario, Canada with his new wife, Hailey Baldwin. Sources say he felt that living in his home country was the right thing to do at this point in his life. This way, he doesn't feel the pressures of Hollywood and has the chance to actually have some privacy. He discussed his struggles of being in the spotlight during an NME interview, saying, "I'm struggling just to get through the day. You get lonely, when you're on the road. People see the glam and the amazing stuff, but they don't know the other side. This life can rip you apart." He went into more detail explaining the isolation of camping out in hotel rooms trying to avoid fans and paparazzi. Since moving to Canada, he has been able to focus on his mental health, which he says Hollywood once destroyed.
Number 10, Chadwick Boseman. The late great Chadwick Boseman was not just an incredible performer, but an incredible man. In his early years of acting, no matter what his status was, he was always vocal about the things that he did not agree with or understand. During a commencement speech to the graduating class of 2018 at his alma mater, Howard University, he spoke about a time when he was fired from a show for questioning the producers about the stereotypical depiction of his character. At first he was excited, as he was promised a six-figure contract, more money than he'd ever seen in his life. However, the moment he saw the role that he was playing, he was conflicted. The role was wrapped up in assumptions about people of color. He said that the character was just a young man with a violent streak pulled into the allure of gangs and with zero glimpse of positivity or talent in the character. After filming a handful of episodes, Chadwick brought his concerns to the attention of the producers, who told him that they were very pleased with his performance, a performance that he was actually fired from the next day. Apparently, the things that he was asking caught the producers off guard. The conversation over the character actually came up when he was called into the production office, and they were very happy with what he'd been doing on the show, and it was clear they wanted him around for a long time. But when they asked him if he needed anything to be more comfortable, it was his opening. He asked them if they could just discuss his character a bit for plot purposes, asking them only two questions. Where is my father? And if my mother is not equipped to be a good parent, why did myself and my brother need to go to foster care? While the producers did have answers, when Chadwick asked if they felt that he was a stereotypical character at all, the producers stared for a moment before suggesting that he speak to the writers if he had any suggestions. The goal was to give his character a new lease on life, but the next day, he was fired for speaking his mind, something he's never regretted once, and that never stopped him from pursuing his dreams. Number 9. Sylvester Stallone. Considering the success of the Beverly Hills Cop franchise, it's difficult to imagine anyone else in the leading role of Alex Foley other than Eddie Murphy. But it turns out that at the time, the role was initially offered to one of the biggest stars of the 1980s, Sylvester Stallone. What's funny still is that at the time he was not just a skilled actor, but earning an Oscar nomination for Best Original Screenplay for Rocky. But it seems that Rocky and the studio didn't really agree on many things, and eventually Stallone was exited from the project. One of the first major changes in Sly's version of the script was the violence. He wanted it to be ramped up to 100 and make it a real action movie. But the film was presented to him as a comedy. Even though he agreed to do it, he wanted to make some changes before the cameras rolled. He was exclusively told not to change anything about the film, but he insisted and rewrote the project as a 50-50 action comedy movie. When he presented the changes to the producers, they were not pleased with his script. In fact, quite the opposite. It was quickly decided that Sylvester would be let go as the lead and Eddie Murphy would be brought in to fill in the blanks. It was not in vain, as he took that mangled script, incorporated elements of the novel Fair Game by Paula Gosling, and eventually it became the 1986 film Cobra. Although it wasn't loved by critics, it did go on to make around $160 million globally, which pretty good at the time. Number 8, Edward Norton. Three-time Academy Award nominee Edward Norton has been the leading man in many memorable movies: Primal Fear, American History X, and of course the most famous one, but as we all know, but of course, one of his most famous and mainstream roles was in the 2008 MCU flick, The Incredible Hulk. Although the movie was not a massive success at first, the audience was shocked when Edward Norton was replaced by Mark Ruffalo in the first Avengers film. The president of Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige, said that the decision was not monetary, but it was actually due to the company wishing to hire an actor who embodied the creativity and collaboration that the other Marvel stars had so far shown on their projects. After Kevin made these statements, however, Norton was amicable but adamant about splitting ways with Marvel, and mentioned that his roles in Birdman and Moonrise Kingdom would oppose the loud and extravagant role that he had in the MCU. Many believe that his calm response may be because he was paid handsomely before he was let go as a little bit of hush money. Marvel is good at hiding secrets, especially from their actors, but it was still so early in the MCU that Edward was certainly aware of hidden details and events that would make him a liability in the industry. Number 7, Colin Firth. The live-action Paddington movies are surprisingly very popular. The series, based on the children's book, has really hit home for a lot of people. First and second film are currently rated at 97% and 99% fresh, respectively. 99. The success of the film can of course be attributed to the incredible cast, including the voice of Paddington, Ben Whishaw. But of course, Ben was not the first voice that had been recorded for the role. Initially, the voice of Paddington was done by Kingsman star Colin Firth. I know he's been in other things, but I love those movies and that's how I know him best. Not only did Colin record all of the lines start to finish, but he was not told that he was being replaced until a couple of months before the premiere. In some of the first promotional videos for the film, the animated bear never does does anything more than grunt. It turns out that the creative team felt Colin's voice just didn't match with the vibe that they were going for. It made Paddington sound too old and distinguished when he needed to be some fresh young thing. Yeah, he was just happy to be working. Now let's get into some more dark Hollywood backstories, shall we? Number 6. Jim Carrey's origins. A Canadian legend, Jim is considered one of the greatest modern comedians of all time, famously releasing 3 films in the year 1995, Dumb and Dumber, The Mask, and Ace Ventura, which all made millions at the box office, and still hold up to this day. As many know, comedians tend to have a pretty rough backstory, as the best comedy comes from a place of pain. Over the years, Jim has come clean about his strange but fun upbringing. His family struggled financially, and he grew up watching his mother struggle with depression, which he claims to have passed down to him. Despite his energy, he was a bit of a recluse growing up and apparently spent hours in his room making faces in the mirror instead of hanging out with. After dropping out of high school to work a full-time job, Jim and his family were forced to live in a Volkswagen van together, becoming homeless for a short period of time. He went on to attempt a career in comedy, at first to minimal success, but of course, he was able to find his footing and made his place in comedy history. Number 5. Woody Harrelson's father. Woody is best known in Hollywood as the wildest wild child to ever exist. He eats raw meat, he's an eco-crusader, a protester against violence, and an advocate for the legalization of herbs and spices in the United States. He's loved on screen, but did you know that his father took people out for money? And I'm not talking about on dates. Charles Harrelson was sentenced to 2 lifetime sentences for the slaying of a federal judge in San Antonio. Prior to that charge, Charles had previously been acquitted for the slaying of Alan Berg, a carpet salesman, and convicted of the slaying of Sam DeGalia Jr. Yeah, the evidence shows that Charles was not a great hit. Woody doesn't speak much of his father these days, opting to instead leave his family troubles in the past. He does, however, say that the one thing that his father said to him that he still uses to this day was, always keep an open mind. Yeah, Charles knew all about opening minds. You can't put that in the video, that's just for the editor.
I just did.
Number 4, Mark Wahlberg should be in jail. Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch hit the rap scene in 1991. Despite sounding like the title of a cheesy kids show, the crew had a small following and garnered a lot of success, enough for leading man Mark Wahlberg to be spotted and picked up by Hollywood to star in The Corruptor, a 1999 action flick that sees Mark playing the leading man. Action by the numbers, kinda get it? He's had a successful acting career that has recently been declining in quality, but he's still acting and looks jacked at the age of 50-something. So please don't hurt me, Mark Wahlberg. Infinite was just hard to watch. Growing up in Boston, he was the youngest of 9 children and was relentlessly bullied by his fellow siblings. His parents divorced when he was very young, and he became addicted to no-no snow by the age of 13. He dropped out of high school and was eventually arrested when he was 18 for attempting to slay 2 Vietnamese men. Apparently, he was just walking home late one night under the influence of a hallucinogen narcotic that I won't get into, when he spotted the men. Close friends at the time confirmed that Mark had a racial biased upbringing, which caused him to be instantly aggressive towards anyone who, wasn't white. He attempted to swing a large log at them, which made contact and knocked one of them unconscious, and he was eventually released after serving only 45 days of his 2-year prison sentence, and he vowed to change his life. So far, he's kept that promise. I can personally confirm that he's very polite and patient because he actually watched a movie at a theater I used to work at. He travels with a crew of 5 people at all times. It's a little intimidating. Number 3, Tim Allen's hobbies. Tim Allen is the voice of Buzz Lightyear and the star of ABC's sitcom Home Improvement, which premiered in 1991. Now, while he may have played a family man on TV, many fans may not know that Tim was a smuggler of no-no snow in the early 1970s. According to Tim, he got mixed up with some bad people back in the day while he was selling certain substances on the street for a couple of bucks. In 1978, Tim was arrested in the Kalamazoo Battle Creek International Airport, that's an awesome name, and was caught with more than 650 grams, 1.4 pounds of no-no snow. Unfortunately for Tim, state legislators had just passed a law that tied a life sentence to any conviction of selling 650 or more. Like, as he was being arrested, there was a guy in his car like, okay, and if you have 650 grams. Okay, yeah, you're a goner, Tim. However, that sentence was never served, as it was revealed that Tim was set up by an undercover police officer who had been following him for months. Due to this, and Tim's cooperation in providing the names of fellow dealers to the authorities, led to him receiving a lighter conviction that allowed him to be sentenced in a federal court instead of a state one, being able to ignore that new policy altogether. His information led to 20 arrests and the sentencing of a major dealer. That needs to be a movie. Number 2, they have backups. There have been many rumors over the years that Hollywood likes to clone their best and brightest on the off chance that they will need them again following an untimely demise. According to the internet, Paul Rudd actually got to star alongside his clone in the show Living With Yourself, not some CGI thing. Now, Paul has, of course, claimed the performance was achieved with CGI and filming one character one day and another the next, but come on, Paul Rudd's also 54 and looks, well, like that. Something's not right about that. Now, there is a theory out there that celebrities are made up of lizard people who take the forms of actors and singers to influence people. Paul is thought to be one of those lizard people. I don't know. I don't believe this theory. I'm just sharing some stuff I found on the internet. I don't believe any of this, okay? This is fun. It would be awesome if there were 2 Paul Rudds, though. In fact, that would probably be the most chill way to find out that clones existed. Just 2 Pauls being like, "Hi, I'm Paul," and another one being like, "Hi, I'm Paul," and everything's gonna be okay. Number 1, they're all broke. That's right, despite it being one of the most lucrative industries in the world, most of Hollywood actors, writers, directors, all of them are not as well off as people may think. Unless you've been living under a rock for the last little bit, most of Hollywood was closed for a while as its staff were on strike. Some of the toppest of tier actors joined the crew in solidarity, and they are actually still on strike right now, not stopping until Hollywood's producers and big budget studios start sharing the money they make. Actor Sean Gunn gave an interview a few weeks ago where he mentioned working on a show currently streaming on Netflix, a show that has made over $4 million in residuals, of which he has received basically nothing. This type of financial woe extends to a ton of people in Hollywood. Just wanted to take a moment to wish luck to anyone who's still out there, and hey, awesome that the writer part of the strike is over. That's pretty sick.
Born Billie Eilish Pirate Baird O'Connell on December 18, 2001, she is an American singer and songwriter who has hit the big leagues at just the young age of 17. However, her following began long before. She gained a notable following in 2016 when she released her single Ocean Eyes on SoundCloud, and subsequently released on the record's labels Darkroom and Interscope Records. Now, her early life consisted of homeschooling, during which time she joined the LA Children's Chorus at the age of 8. Just a few short years later, she would begin writing songs, taking after her elder brother, Phineas O'Connell, who was already writing, performing and producing his own songs with his band. More interesting still, Billie's song Ocean Eyes was actually written by Phineas for his own band. Don't know about you, but I wouldn't be too happy about that. Now, here's where things begin to get fishy. Phineas is dating YouTuber Claudia Sulewski, who looks a whole lot like Billie Eilish, which has led some fans to believe that Phineas is dating Claudia simply because she looks like his sister, especially considering how oddly close him and Billie are. Anyway, I digress. Back to Ocean Eyes. The song was released as Billie's debut single back in 2016, and the song was certified platinum not long after, peaking at number 84 on the Billboard Hot 100 in May 2019. That very same year, Billie also released the single 6 Feet Under, which didn't do as well, but was still a success for the rising star. Following the huge success of Ocean Eyes, Billie released the single Bellyache on February 24, 2017, with the single Bored coming shortly after, which was used as part of the soundtrack to the Netflix series 13 Reasons Why. However, her rise from the ashes came in 2018, arguably her biggest year, along with 2019, which saw the singer embark on the Where's My Mind tour, as well as the release of her vinyl featuring an acoustic version of her song Party Favor, as well as a cover of Drake's Hotline Bling. Now in 2019, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go was finally released on March 29, 2019, with the album debuting at number 1 on the Billboard 200 as well as on the UK Albums Chart, in turn making Billie the first artist born in the 2000s to have a number 1 album in the United States and the youngest female ever to have a number 1 album in the United Kingdom. Bold flex, big moves, nothing but respect for my queen. However, her biggest flex would come when her 5th single Bad Guy was released in conjunction with her album, and it peaked at number 1 in the US, in turn ending Lil Nas X's record-breaking 19 weeks at number 1 with Old Town Road. She is also the youngest artist to perform at Coachella, surpassing Lorde. Now, outside of music, Billie has a massive public image with constant media attention that tends to mostly focus on her fashion style, which consists primarily of baggy, ill-fitting clothing, very Adam Sandler-esque. Back in 2017, Billie actually addressed the attention surrounding her style choices, saying that she likes dressing out of her comfort zone to feel like she grabs the attention of everyone around her. However, in 2019, Billie also appeared in a Calvin Klein ad, wherein she mentioned that she dresses in baggy clothes in order to prevent people from body shaming her. I respect that so much. Now, in her personal life, Billie has stated that she actually has Tourette syndrome, which is a common neurodevelopment disorder characterized by multiple motor tics and at least one vocal tic. She also has synesthesia, in which people people associate colors with numbers, even music. Billie also has previously stated that she was raised vegetarian and is a big advocate for veganism on social media. Now, let's jump into the meat of this video, why we're all here. The scary theory surrounding this artist. As we know, every now and then a conspiracy theory pops up that just refuses to go away. This is one of those. The Illuminati is one of the biggest theories around, with many believing that the world's most powerful people secretly control the world. Ridiculous, right? Well, according to some theorists, the latest member of the society is none other than Billie Eilish. Now, this is entirely based on the imagery used in Billie's music video, All the Good Girls Go to Hell, which strongly features apocalyptic type imagery. And ever since its release, fans have taken to Twitter to discuss how convinced they are that Billie is in the Illuminati. I quote, "So Billie Eilish single-handedly brought the Illuminati back in 2019. And she's in the Illuminati, there's no point kicking off about it because it ain't gonna change anything. And Billie Eilish is the new face of the Illuminati, I guess. However, other folks went in a different direction with the theories, with one person stating, I quote, "All good girls go to hell and bury a friend feature satanic messages." On Reddit, people have come up with their own theories as well, specifically about how Billie may be involved with the Illuminati. Now, this theory is utterly twisted, with the theorist stating that Billie may have indirectly killed late rapper XXXTentacion, which thereby influenced the song Bury a Friend. The theory also says that in order to gain entry into the secret society, the candidate has to kill someone. So, there we go. At the end of the day, it seems like these rumors are simply that, rumors, and that Billie is likely not a part of the Illuminati, at least I don't think so anyway. After all, if the group really did exist and she actually was a member, would she make it so obvious?
Starting off this countdown, we have Meg Ryan, Dennis Quaid, and Russell Crowe. Meg Ryan was married to Dennis Quaid for 9 years until she decided to cheat on him with Russell Crowe. This happened while filming the movie Proof of Life with Russell in Ecuador. Somehow, news got out about Ryan and Crowe, and Quaid soon filed for divorce. But Ryan turned it around, saying that the divorce was all Quaid's fault, and that he had also been unfaithful during their marriage. In the end, Ryan lost Crowe and Quaid, and the movie tanked in the box office. So, maybe that's karma. Moving on to number 9, we have Aaron Carter, Hilary Duff, and Lindsay Lohan. Back in the early 2000s, Aaron Carter was quite the heartthrob and ladies' man, catching the hearts of fans and celebrities all around the world. Well, Aaron met Hilary when he guest starred in the Lizzie McGuire Christmas special. If you guys remember that, smash that like button, cause I do. Then on his 13th birthday, the pair officially began dating. They were together for almost 2 years when he cheated on her with Lindsay Lohan. In fact, he was two-timing her, so he was dating Lindsay and Hilary at the same time. Now this is what Aaron had to say. "I started dating Hilary on my 13th birthday. I was dating her for like a year and a half, and then I just got a little bored. So I went and I started getting to know Lindsay, dating Lindsay. Then I didn't want to do that anymore, so I got back with Hilary. And then I ended up cheating on Hilary with her best friend. That's nothing to smile about, she wasn't even that good looking either." End of quote. I didn't just add that in, he also said that. So he literally got bored and was like, sure, let's fool around with other women. Jeez, Aaron. In our 8th spot today, we have Laura Dern, Billy Bob Thornton, and Angelina Jolie. Honestly, people might hate me for saying this, but Billy Bob Thornton and Angelina Jolie were a hot couple. I'm sorry. Well, Laura Dern and Billy Bob started dating in 1997 while on the set of Ellen. The couple dated for 3 years and even were engaged. But in 1999, he called it quits, and a year later, he married Angelina Jolie. That one's gotta hurt. According to Dern, she said, and I quote, "I left our home to work on a movie, and while I was away, my boyfriend got married, and I've never heard from him again." That is very harsh. Moving on to number 7, we have Alex Rodriguez, Kate Hudson, and Cameron Diaz. Now this dude has dated all the stars, I swear, like Madonna, J-Lo, come on now. Anyways, Kate Hudson and A-Rod dated for 7 months before calling it quits in December of 2009. Just a few months later, Cameron Diaz was seen leaving his house with overnight bags, you guys know what that means. And according to sources, Hudson was not happy with this at all. Maybe this was payback for Hudson hooking up with Cameron's ex-boyfriend, Justin Timberlake, shortly after they broke up. Who knows? But in 2012, it seems like they got over this drama because they were quite chummy with each other at the Academy Awards. In 2013, Diaz referred to Hudson as one of her good friends. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with Sophia Bush, Chad Michael Murray, and Paris Hilton. Now, Chad Michael Murray is one fine man, okay? Let me just say that. And I did not know that he got together with Paris Hilton. Okay, I don't know, I just can't picture them together, you know? But I guess opposites attract. One Tree Hill stars Sophia and Chad ended up having chemistry on and off screen. In December of 2005, they actually got married, but the marriage was very short-lived. 5 months later, they separated. And apparently, Chad was spotted with Paris Hilton. Now, this is where it gets messy. So at the time the two allegedly got together, Paris was dating Nick Carter. Nick's younger brother, Aaron Carter, eventually spilled the tea, saying that Paris cheated on his brother with Chad Michael Murray. So they both cheated on their partners. A year later, Sophia and Chad filed for divorce. In our 4th spot, we have Kristen Stewart, Robert Pattinson, and Rupert Sanders. Now, I don't know if you remember when this drama came out, but I do. And that's because I was a hardcore Twilight fan, and I shipped Kristen and Robert to the moon and back. When I heard she cheated on him, I was so mad at her. Like, she doesn't even know who I was, but I was mad. Anyways, while filming Snow White and the Huntsman, Kristen got with the director Rupert Sanders, and the two were caught kissing in public. Kristen was dating Robert at the time, and Rupert was married to Liberty Ross. Rob and Kristen separated for a bit, then got back together again, only to break up again in 2013, whereas Rupert's wife filed for divorce in 2013. In our 3rd spot today, we have David Spade, Laura Flynn Boyle, and Jack Nicholson. This is a very odd trio, but apparently Jack Nicholson stole David Spade's girlfriend, Laura Flynn Boyle, from him in 1999. According to him, that's what happened. They had been dating for a year when Jack literally asked her out in front of David. Now, David got all defensive, being like, I know you're gonna go out with him anyway. And she was like, no way, he's worse than Trump. Like, no lie, that's what she said. But in the end, the two were spotted together. Actually, they got in a car crash together, and apparently Boyle climbed out of the sunroof and yelled, I have a boyfriend, I can't be here. But she was caught, like literally red-handed. In our 3rd spot today, we have Bella Thorne, her brother, and another Bella. Bella Thorne's brother, Remy Thorne, was dating a girl named Bella Pendergast for 3 years. The pair broke up around 2015. Bella Thorne was dating Greg Sulkin, and when she broke up, she quickly came out as bisexual on her Twitter. A little while later, she was spotted with her brother's ex being a little too close. They shared a number of photos holding hands and kissing, and people were like, is she seriously dating her brother's ex? And yes, the answer is yes, she did. But shortly after, Bella Thorne decided to go after Greg Sulkin's friend, Tyler Posey. Then a month later, she dumped him and was with Charlie Puth. And don't get me started with the whole Tana Modson relationship, okay? That's a whole other mess on its own. And in our number 1 spot today, we have Olivia Wilde, Jason Sudeikis, and Harry Styles. Now, I must be living under a bus because I love Jason Sudeikis, but I did not know that he was engaged to Olivia Wilde. The pair first met in 2011 and began dating a few months later. In 2012, they got engaged, and in 2014 and 2016, they gave birth to 2 children. But in 2020, the pair announced that they had split. A few months later, Olivia was spotted with Harry Styles after attending a wedding together. They both met during the movie Don't Worry Darling, and some believe that Styles might be one of the reasons as to why the two split. One source said, and I quote, Olivia called off the engagement in early November, but only after she had already gotten close to Harry. The source continued on saying, whether Harry knows it or not, he was the reason for the split, and it blindsided Jason.